The witness tree on Devil's Den is a highly debated witness tree. Was it there? Was it not there? About 4 years ago, I guess, at this point?
Yeah,
the National Park Service did a lot of work in the area of Devil's Den.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did is at one point they had put together a map showing exactly what they were doing. Well, I was able to get a hold of the map. And prominently marked on the map is...
From the Gettysburg Museum of History Studios, you're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Addressing Gettysburg's Ask a Gettysburg Guide. Today we're doing something that has nothing real. Well, it does have something to do with the battle, but it's not about the battle itself. It's actually about things that pre-existed the battle and continue to exist 162 almost years after the Battle of Gettysburg. We're talking about witness trees. People love witness trees. People are fascinated by witness trees. There's something about standing next to a tree that you know was here, more so than a house, because it's a living thing that could easily be, just die of disease or get struck by lightning or whatever. It's a living organism that was here while the battle raged around it, and it still stands. And one of our friends on the show here, Larry Korczyk, is with us. And we're going to talk about witness trees. You actually do tours about witness trees.
Yeah, that's right, Matt. I do a 3-hour witness tree tour that can be requested of me.
So 3 hours, that's, obviously there's a lot of trees in the park, but to think that you could fill 3 hours with talk about trees. Right. That's a lot.
Well, what I'm doing as I take my guests to see these magnificent witness trees, what I do is explain what these trees would have witnessed, what battle action these trees would have witnessed. So I cover witness trees on all 3 days of battle. So we cover a good part of the battlefield. And there's a lot of history behind these trees.
So I guess let's start off with how we tell that a tree was a witness tree. I mean, I guess the obvious answer would be photographs, right?
Right.
But let's go back even further before we even it's actually not even back, but when did the fascination with witness trees begin? Was it something that right after the battle, somebody said, we need to make sure we remember that this tree?
Well, I think the best example of the need and recognition of witness trees is represented by the famous copse of trees.
Mm-hmm.
Because battlefield lore tells us that the Confederate infantrymen on July 3rd will use that landmark, the copse of trees, to conduct their attack upon Cemetery Ridge in the famous charge we know as Pickett's Charge. Well, what had happened at one point is that the owner of that tree lot, Basil Biggs, at one point, he had begun to remove many of those trees, that famous landmark, and who just so happened to be nearby. This is once again battlefield lore. John Batchelder, the famous historian here at Gettysburg, along with a Confederate officer, and he would witness some of the removal of the trees, of the copse of trees, and he was horrified. So I think John Batchelder quickly recognized the need to save this copse of trees, these witness trees. So I think very early on, the need to save these incredible trees was recognized, and it's just continued over the years.
So Batchelder recognizes the importance of the copse of trees, and what does he do? He offers to buy it from Basil Biggs, right?
Eventually they did purchase it. Of course, Batchelder, this is where he comes up with the saying, the high water mark of the Confederacy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but there's other trees around. The one that is pretty glaring in my mind, because it's just all by itself up on that hill, is the one on Devil's Den.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm a tourist. I'm going to come to Gettysburg. I want to find a witness tree. There's, I could probably go online and I can find it. And a lot of them are easily identifiable, like the Devil's Den one, right?
Right.
It's standing alone.
Absolutely.
It's big.
Absolutely.
It's actually really picturesque. It's a pretty cool.
Beautiful tree.
Yeah, it's a beautiful tree, beautiful scenery that it's in and all that other stuff. Pretty easy to find out. But there's other ones that I'm aware of that are in the woods. And so how do they figure that out? It's in a wood lot. Like,
yeah, if you have a potential witness tree in the middle of a woodlot, there are ways to determine the approximate age of the tree. Okay, by measurements, by measuring the girth of the tree. There's a website that you can go to that'll give you the approximate age of a tree based upon the girth of the tree, based upon the species of the tree. The predominant tree on the battlefield today is the white oak. Those are the predominant witness trees. And that website would say if you measure about 48 inches up and then measure around the girth, if it's 108 inches and round, that tree is approximately 160 years of age, plus or minus 5 years. So that puts us right at the time of the battle.
Now, is there a reason why there's abundance of oaks? Are they particularly hardy, or is it just that's what grows here?
Yeah, the white oak is a very hardy tree. They lived upwards of 250 years old.
Wow.
And they get to a very large size. So not only do they live a long life, but they're a very prominent, conspicuous tree on the battlefield because of their size.
Now, not to jump around and confuse the audience, but this is just fresh in my mind. We were just talking before the show, and you had mentioned the tree out by Sheets on Route 30.
Yeah.
And so for those of you who are trying to figure out where that is, if you take Route 30 out of town, east of town, there's a Sheets right before you hit Highway 15. And if you go, there's like an access road between Sheets and the supermarket or the strip mall.
Right. There's a subway there.
Just west of it. Yeah, where there's a subway. There used to be a mattress. Ruby Tuesdays is in there. Well, that access road, if you go to the end of it, there's this big old tree. Yeah. Now, we don't know for a fact, but everybody just assumes it's got to be hundreds of years old.
Because of the massive size of it. It's believed to be one of the oldest trees in Adams County. It is a massive white oak. It's directly behind the Subway restaurant.
See, that's funny that you say it's one of the oldest in Adams County.
Yeah.
This county is huge and very wooded.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing that means to me, I mean, I know you didn't say it definitively. You said, it's got to be, right?
You would think.
Or believe. Did you say believed to be?
Believed to be.
Yeah. Okay. So that means that there are enough people who have devoted enough of their time to exploring the trees of the area.
Oh, absolutely.
Over the years.
Absolutely.
And that's what fascinates me about life is just when you think you've known all the jobs that there are, all the hobbies and
hobbies.
Yeah. And then you find, no, I like to go around and look at trees and figure out how old they are. I never would have thought, But what got you into witness trees?
Well, what got me into it is that it was the exploration of photographs. When I was touring the battlefield, studying to become a battlefield guide, and afterwards, after I had become a battlefield guide, I love to use photographs on the battlefield, particularly photographs showing my guests photographs of the dedications of specific monuments to specific fighting units, whether they're from Pennsylvania, my native state in New Jersey, or southern units. And I began to notice that in these photographs taken most predominantly by William Tipton, you could see these prominent, conspicuous white oaks and these rather conspicuous witness trees. I believe to be witness trees. So I started investigating, and that just kind of piqued my interest. Yeah.
Somebody in the comment section here said something interesting, and I just want to push back a little bit. He said, witness trees and ghosts might be the same topic. And I think I understand what he's saying there, but I'm going to say, here's where I disagree with you. Not you, him.
Right.
One, witness trees are real. Actually, that's it.
Yeah.
Witness trees are real. Yeah. They witnessed the battle, and this is something that goes back very far as like you mentioned before, Batch elders saying, no, we need to preserve these. But then when the Park Service took over, they went around. What did they do?
Well, what takes place, and I was explaining to you earlier when we were talking.
And by the way, I'm sorry, that's not to pick on the listener, but I thought he raised a good point that I wanted to kind of juxtapose there, because I kind of used to think that about witness trees as well. It's like, oh, who cares? It's a tree. But they're more interesting than that.
They're fascinating. Yeah. I mean, a red letter date is June 10th, 1933, and that's when Gettysburg National Military Park, then under the supervision of the War Department, is transferred to the Department of the Interior and the National Park Service. Okay, so that's 1933. And we believe sometime afterwards, the National Park Service may very well have taken upon themselves to conduct a survey of potential witness trees on the battlefield. Now, this is all shrouded in mystery, folks. Whatever records there were of that survey have long disappeared. But as you travel the battlefield and you look upon many of these witness trees, and I take my guests to these witness trees, some of them are identified with a copper disc with a number on them. Many of the witness trees had cables attached to them to ground them to the ground should they be struck by lightning. Also, many of them had support wires attached to kind of hold the integrity of the tree together. So this is some of the clear evidence that these witness trees exist on the battlefield today.
And do we know why the Park Service felt it was important to do that back then?
Well, perhaps they're following the example of John Batchelder.
Okay.
I mean,
it seems interesting to me because, you know, especially the Batchelder story, the Park Service in the 30s, along with what the commenter said here, I'm not going to use his name. I don't want to call him out because I'm not calling him out.
Right.
I kind of looked at the witness tree interest, I wouldn't say like ghosts, but akin to ghosts, where it's, it's not for the history member of the family. It's for the other one, and everything. But the more I started to, it's funny because I have two periods of time in my life when I lived here. So the first one was late 20s, early 30s. And that was more of my attitude. Then I moved back and I appreciated a lot more about life in my early 40s. And so I remember Bob Steenstra and I would go for walks almost daily when we could. And, I remember him pointing out a witness tree to me just off the road in the woods by the Snyder farm.
Okay.
You know which one I'm talking about?
I know which one you're talking about.
And I was like, really? Like, I was shocked. I didn't know that, and that got me interested in like, well, what other ones do we have? Where else? And I never knew that about the tag. He showed me the tag and the wire.
The wires.
And I never knew that before.
See, what I like to do, Matt, is I use these witness trees as an interpretive tool.
Yeah.
I take you to the trees, but once again, I tell the story of what these trees would have seen. And it really puts the people in the moment. I have a great quote. Witness trees stand as silent sentinels of storied landscapes and help connect people, history, and places.
Yeah.
Now, I wish I had written that. I didn't, but it's a great quote. It really is.
Well, and they, as Mike Lentz points out here, says witness trees give a tangible connection to the past.
Absolutely.
More so, in a weird way, to me, more so than a house.
Oh, absolutely.
Or a barn.
Yeah.
Or even a fence line or a rock or a rock wall. The tree, I don't know what it is. I actually can't put my finger on it.
I think that the very fact that the tree was here at the time of the battle and is still here today.
Yeah.
Going on 162 years after the battle.
But so were the houses.
Yeah.
So why does that not do it for me like the tree does?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Tim Smith does a program on rocks. Well, rocks don't do it for me either.
Yeah.
There are a lot of important rock formations on the battle. It's just something about these majestic
and those
trees.
Rocks witnessed far more than the Battle of Gettysburg.
Absolutely.
Millions of years of history.
That's right.
And we don't even know some of the things they might have witnessed.
Right.
So I don't know. It is a fast. Okay, so there's that copper tag,
right?
Which, what would that be? Just slightly above eye level on the tree, like high enough for a hammer to reach. Basically,
it's probably above your head.
Yeah,
above the 6 foot mark, probably around the 7 to 8 foot mark. Not easily accessible, fortunately.
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of them have disappeared over the years, either swallowed up by the tree itself or perhaps taken as a souvenir.
Well, that's the cool thing is that some of them in the wires too, like you don't actually see the wire, but you see the bark grew like a wire, like in a weird way. It's not the same pattern the rest of the bark follows.
That's
right.
And some of these witness trees no longer have the wire, but what's still very distinctive,
like
what you
the
would call
staples,
the scar that it
yeah.
once inhabited.
Yeah. Now the tags, you said they're copper,
right?
But they're very tarnished, so they're like almost black.
They're green.
Yeah, green.
They're
okay,
green. Yeah,
they're dark.
Kind of like those artillery pieces. We have on the back.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to stand out as a shiny copper tag when you see them.
It's not something that's going to draw you to it like a shiny penny.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you give the story, 3 hours. So tell us some of the stories about some of the trees that you feature on these tours.
Yeah. Well, the first place I stop at is the Reynolds Death Site Memorial, and there are 2 witness trees right in that area there. And of course, I talk about the very fact that on the morning of July 1st, late morning, General Reynolds will be leading some Wisconsin boys into that woodlot, the 2nd Wisconsin Infantry, part of the famous Iron Brigade. And he's directly to their rear, apparently. And as the 2nd Wisconsin enters the woodlot, he would shout to these men, forward, for God's sakes, forward. And then shortly thereafter, either a volley or a shot rings out, and General Reynolds is struck in the back of the head. He's dead before he hits the ground. So this is what these trees would have witnessed, these 2 trees right in that area right there.
It's not one of the ones that was cut down recently, is it?
No, well, that was a witness tree.
That was a witness
tree. And you can see today it's a witness tree stump. The witness tree stump is still there.
Yeah, okay.
There were at one time as many as 5 witness trees in that very area.
Oh, really?
But a couple of them have come down, diseased. But we have 2 remaining there, yeah.
The other thing that's cool about that area is that there was a road there too.
That's right.
That's
and I oftentimes point that out.
Yeah.
I'll point that out.
You can see it.
The old Reynolds Loop, some of the original curbing is still there, some blocks, and some of the gravel is still in the ground.
Yeah, that's what's cool about it is it's kind of like what's this random curb doing in the middle of this field? And
it's right in front of the Reynolds Death Site Memorial.
I always say Reynolds kind of is asking for it because not only is he on horseback, but he's standing on that mound.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what a target. Okay, so how about a second day witness tree?
Second day witness tree.
All right, let me ask this real quick. Sorry. Back on the first day.
Okay, sure.
Any up on Oak Hill?
There are ones on Oak Hill.
Yeah.
Are
they marked?
No, they're not marked, and they're within the wood line there on Oak Hill. But there is a very prominent one on Oak Ridge. In fact, there were 3 on Oak Ridge.
All right.
Okay, so as you drive down the hill to the monument for the 13th Massachusetts, to the right side as you drive down the hill, there were 3 very prominent witness trees just in that grove right there.
Okay.
Only one is left.
Really?
Only one is left. But I have a photograph of when the Monument Committee of the 13th Massachusetts returned to Gettysburg in order to be able to put a stake in the ground where they wanted to place their monument.
Mm-hmm.
And in the background of that photograph, you can see the very prominent and conspicuous trees that are still there today.
Huh. So, and those are marked or not marked?
They're not marked, no.
So a lot of the witness trees then that the Park Service went and marked in the 30s, obviously, they're not all of them,
right?
Because these are discoveries since then that someone put together. Like, where do we know that from?
Well, there are. I'll say this: there are 2 gentlemen that have been doing a lot of work on uncovering what they believe are potential witness trees. Their names are Gregory Gober and Peter Lukacs. In fact, Peter Lukacs has written a book on the witness trees on Seminary Ridge. These two gentlemen have done a lot of work. They've spent a lot of times in the woods. And through their investigation, they're uncovering a large number of potential witness trees. Absolutely. But many of the trees that they have covered, I do not use in my presentation because I want to have some direct evidence. And I use photographic evidence. I use a sketch of a soldier or a primary source account. When I say a sketch, one of the most prominent witness trees on the battlefield is the Sickles witness tree.
Yes.
Named after General Daniel Sickles, commander of the 3rd Corps. Well, it just so happened that who was positioned nearby the Trossel farm earlier in the day, that would be the 9th Massachusetts Battery. And within the 9th Massachusetts Battery was a bugler by the name of Charles Reed, who happened to be quite a sketch artist.
Okay.
And there's several famous sketches he made of Sickles and his entourage, his staff, under the tree.
Huh.
And showing at one point Bigelow's battery deploying across the field to the south to go in position along the Wheatfield Road, moving from what would be today's United States Avenue, what was the Trossel Lane at the town, and you see the witness tree once again prominently displayed.
So, and the thing about that tree, as I was saying before, is like that tree, the Devil's Den tree, and what was the other one I said? The Gibbon tree.
The Gibbon tree, right.
In the right light, in the right atmosphere, those are pretty spooky trees.
Yeah, they almost look like the Harry Potter trees.
Yeah, or something out of a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
So did it look that way in the sketch, or was it maybe a little more spry?
Well, I'll
back
say
then?
this: the Sickles tree has always been a pretty ugly.
It has it, yeah.
It really has.
Well,
I mean,
it's
I have a
aptly named.
I have a sketch. I have a photograph just after the turn of the century of the Abraham Trossel farm from south to north, prominently showing that tree. It's not a pretty tree.
No,
not a pretty tree at all.
So we know that those. Okay. So now you mentioned what were their names? Peter Lucas and
Gregory
Gober
and Peter Lucas. Yeah, they've done some really terrific work.
So, but you don't use their work.
I use some of their work.
Oh, okay.
If I have photographic evidence in cooperation with the tree that they consider a witness tree, I'll use.
You'll show it.
Absolutely.
So taking their stuff out of it are a lot of these, and taking those and the well-known witness trees out of it.
Right.
The remainder of the material in your tour, is it stuff that you've discovered or that other guides have discovered, or is it a mix? Or
I think it's a mix.
Yeah.
There's a mix of witness trees that I believe I've found. I mean, someone else may have also recognized them as witness trees, but these are witness trees that I'm not aware of anybody else specifically pointing out. Two of them, in fact, is on Stony Hill, the western boundary of the Wheatfield. If you go to the monument of the 52nd New York, a photograph taken at the time that the monument was dedicated, there are two prominent witness trees, one to the left and one to the right of the monument. Yeah.
52nd New York, I'm drawing a blank where that is.
That's if you're going up, you go past the monument for the memorial for the Irish Brigade.
Okay.
And it's on the right-hand side as you make that turn to the left.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Up in the wood line.
Yeah.
Up in the wood line.
Yeah.
There's two witness trees there.
Yeah, right. I forget. Yeah, you don't really remember that one.
No. And there's also, if you go on Brook Avenue.
Right.
Just to the other side of the Rose pasture, there's the monument for the 64th New York and the 53rd Pennsylvania. Once again, photographs by William Tipton, taken around the time of the dedication. You can line up several large witness trees there.
One of the pictures you showed me was from Little Round Top.
Right.
And the Gober and Lucas had, I guess, marked on two photographs, an old one from the 30s, I think it was, and one from today.
Probably, even earlier, before maybe just after the turn of the century or beforehand,
And they use the brigade plaque, and they use boulders to identify the witness trees in relation, right? So I would imagine boulders, because they're not really going anywhere.
They're not moving.
And they're not dying. So those have got to be helpful in trying to figure out where things are.
I mean,
when you have a photograph.
These two gentlemen have done, like I said, fantastic investigation. things. They're much smarter than me. They triangulated the photograph using those boulders and to pinpoint what they believe is the sapling, which would become the famous witness tree on Devil's Den.
How, so I just lost my question.
Sure.
Go ahead and throw something else out.
Well, what's also interesting is that, that the witness tree on Devil's Den is a highly debated witness tree. Was it there? Was it not there?
Oh, yeah, this is good.
Yeah, and what had happened is about 4 years ago, I guess, at this point?
Yeah,
the National Park Service did a lot of work in the area of Devil's Den. Mm-hmm. They replaced a lot of the pathways with a beautiful new staircase, redid the concrete around Smith's Battery there.
Yep. Trails.
And what they did is at one point they had put together a map showing exactly what they were doing. Well, I was able to get a hold of the map. And prominently marked on the map is witness tree. So I'm going to consider the National Park Service as conclusive.
It's right. So if they're
recognizing as a witness tree,
then it is.
I'm going to say it is.
But that's not enough. And you have more evidence that Lucas and why do I have to keep looking at their names? I can't. Gober. Have come up with, and it kind of perhaps
corroborates.
I mean, it does, but the photo, I'd have to look at the high resolution scan of that photo.
Yes,
because a photocopy of a photocopy, it's like, so it's kind of. But from what you showed me, it looks like it could very well have been there.
Very well have been there.
Yeah, as a young tree,
as a young sapling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
About middle school age.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe even kindergarten.
Maybe
a little higher in kindergarten.
Yeah. But it is interesting.
School.
So, and that's the thing is, that's what I'm saying is that there are people who are going to stare at a photograph just to determine if a tree existed at the time.
Yeah.
I never would have thought. I don't have the patience for that and the focus and but I'm fascinated by it.
And like I said, it was a good friend of mine who has since passed on, but a good friend of mine who really got me captivated by the story of witness trees. He's the one that told me about the website that I could go to help determine the size of a tree. And me and him ended up spending hours on the battlefield. So, folks, if you've seen a guy in a guide uniform traipsing around carrying a tape measure, that's me, measuring witness trees.
What do you have a favorite?
I think my favorite witness tree is the one in the slaughter pen opposite Devil's Den.
Okay, now that's good. Because
that's the one witness tree I have the most conclusive evidence that it was a witness tree.
So when you first told me that before the show, I was picturing the slaughter pen, and I'm like, I don't remember there being any trees in there, right? I mean, well, there's tons of them now, but when they cleared them, I don't remember.
What's interesting is you remember about 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, the tree line had already grown all the way to the parking lot.
Yeah.
And the Park Service, when they removed the one-time restroom that was there, and they cut the tree line all the way back, a good 100 yards or more.
It's beautiful.
They left one tree.
Right.
They left one tree. Why? Because I think they recognized that it was a witness tree.
Yeah, well,
and that's the very witness tree that I have that photographic evidence for.
And that just goes to show they're not just indiscriminately cutting trees down, right?
No.
They're putting thought into it.
They're putting some thought into it. Yes,
some.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And believe me, in the recent restoration that took place on Little Round Top, they had earmarked a large number of trees to be removed. Well, through the efforts of Gregory Gober and his appeals to the National Park Service stating that some of the trees you have marked for removal are witness trees, many of them were saved. So I give him credit for that.
I give them credit for listening too, right?
Too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Taking that into account.
Right. So has there ever been an instance that you're aware of when the park removed a tree for whatever reason?
Mm-hmm.
That they were certain was not a witness tree. And then as they're cutting it up to remove it, they find bullets.
Well, of course, what happens over time is that we have the storms that take down a lot of trees at different times. And a couple of years back, Several large trees had come down on Culp's Hill. Whether or not they recognized them at the time as witness trees, but when the maintenance crew, whether it was either a private group or the National Park Service personnel themselves, began to cut up the tree to remove it, they found bullets inside the trees. And that was a very prominent story at the time.
And so what do they do? Is it just kind of like, oh, well?
Well, I'm pretty sure they removed the section of tree with the bullets. Mm-hmm. But what they do nowadays, if a tree comes down in the middle of the woods, they just leave it there to rot. Yeah, unless it falls on a monument or across a roadway or a path, that's where they'll cut it up and probably move it back into the woodline, deeper into the woodline.
So, yeah, and there's a few of them. Actually, there was one that fell down up on Little Round Top. I noticed it looked pretty fresh.
Right.
And they had cut it off the road,
right,
but left the rest of it in the woods.
The rest of it to rot.
Yeah. I mean, it's right on the road, so maybe they're planning on removing more of it. It looks a little inviting for a kid to climb on, but it also looks like they could impale themselves on the part of the jagged part of the
that's
stump.
Probably not a good idea for safety reasons alone.
Yeah, they're probably going to do something with that there.
I would imagine so.
Okay, so we mentioned some day 2 ones. How about a day 3 one? I mean, obviously we got the big copse of trees. Right. That's a big one. What else?
Well, of course, on day 3, we have the Gibbon tree. It's called the Gibbon tree because it's believed that is the area where General John Gibbon is wounded on day 3 as he's moving down south to help direct his troops into action.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to get those Vermonter boys to make that flanking, just as General Hancock and General Stannard would do. So
that one is, if you're thinking of the line where the 1st Minnesota's one monument is, it was at Hall's Brigade,
right?
Harrow,
all the way down that brigade line.
Yeah, right at the end.
Right at the end there. Yeah, you can't miss it.
That line will continue across Hancock Avenue.
Right.
And so right where it continues, when you get to Hancock Avenue, look to your right. It's right there.
It's a black walnut.
Yeah.
Right. It's a black walnut. It's taken a beating after several recent storms, but it's hanging in there. In fact, that's another tree that I have direct evidence that it was here. I have a photograph from as late as 1905 with an artillery shell still embedded in the tree.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Huh.
Up towards what would be the top of the tree today, but because a good part of it had been sheared off, an artillery, a 12-pound round shell embedded in the tree. And that may have caused some of the damage to the tree.
Well, and so now this conversation about the Gibbon tree reminds me of 2 things. One is you can go to the museum. I don't know if it's still there, but at one point you can go to the museum at the visitor center, and right there in the hallway in a glass case.
Still there.
It is still there?
It's still there.
There's a tree with all types.
Oh, shrapnel, mini balls.
Yeah.
You name it. It's embedded in a tree.
You look at that and you want to have just an idea of what's flying around during a battle. Like that is the best thing to do.
Absolutely.
But also with the Gibbon tree.
Yeah.
We were talking before, there's cement. Talk about the cement and bring us over to Culp's Hill to the God tree.
Well, at one point, the National Park Service, recognizing these witness trees on the battlefield, and that some of them needed some TLC, the Gibbon tree had sustained a split in it. And what the Park Service did, and this was the conventional wisdom at the time, to fill the tree, that large gap that had been created, with concrete. So today, if you go to the Gibbon tree, look on the base of the tree. It faces to the road. You can see evidence of the concrete on the bottom of the tree.
What was the thinking behind that?
I think just to hold the tree together structurally as much as anything.
But the concrete's inside.
It's inside. Yeah, and the most famous tree that was filled with concrete was on Culp's Hill. And we call it the God tree.
And why do we call it the God tree?
Well, because only God himself could have preserved that tree with the amount of lead that was flying on Culp's Hill over 2 days of battle.
Got it.
So it was a very prominent tree that had sustained artillery fire. It literally had a large crack from top to bottom. and the National Park Service had filled it with concrete to hold the tree together.
So that was a Park Service thing.
Now whether the Park Service did it themselves or they had a private contractor, I don't know. But they absolutely approved that. Was the technique of the time. Yeah,
that's fascinating.
Yeah,
but now you can actually see it now though, because it's not much left of it.
Well, there's really nothing left of it.
Oh,
what was still standing is now all down.
Oh, is it?
Because the concrete, which was held together with a wire mesh. The wire mesh gave way. The concrete fell out of what was left of the tree, and now it's all resting on the ground where it once stood.
Is the concrete still resting on the ground? Or they
concrete's
removed that?
Still there too.
So you can still see.
You can walk about 20, 30 yards into the wood line to see the remnants of the gone tree.
Yeah, it's right off the breastworks.
Right. About 20 yards from the breastwork line.
Between. What monuments?
It's a little bit to, I would say, to the south of the monument of the 78th, 102nd New York.
Okay.
Down that way.
Right.
Yeah.
In that area.
And before you reach the monuments for like the 149th New York.
Yeah. Okay, so when you give a tour about witness trees, again, I'm fascinated that it's 3 hours long. And I don't mean to dwell on it, but I'm trying to really get a sense. Is it all walking?
No, it's essentially a driving to each location where the witness trees are located, get out, and then do a little bit of walking.
Okay.
Walk into the trees.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's one spot on day one, the Daniels Death Site Memorial. There's another spot where the 19th Indiana Monument rests. There's 2 witness trees in that area. Then I go to the 13th Massachusetts on Oak Hill. And then from there, directly down Seminary Ridge, where there's a cluster of 5 witness trees. Just a little bit to the north of the North Carolina Memorial. And then from there, I'm heading to the south end of the battlefield. I'm heading to Devil's Den, the slaughter pen, the witness tree at Devil's Den, the wheat field, Brook Avenue. And then finally, I start heading north.
How about along South Confederate Avenue? Anything there?
I haven't found any along there. I'd have to check with those 2 gentlemen. I'm sure there's a lot of wood line in there, so I would imagine there's several different witness trees in there.
Did anybody ever get curious and then try to figure out if there are witness trees on the Eisenhower farm?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm aware. What's interesting is that I've walked the campus of then Pennsylvania College, today's Gettysburg College.
Right.
And I found about 4 trees with the same type of copper disc on them.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now, I inquired from the Gettysburg College about the matter. No one knows anything.
I'm not sure.
But there's one very prominent one right along, if you're heading down South Washington Street. As you cross a little bridge going over, what's that, Stevens Run.
Yeah.
You cross a little bridge. There's a large tree to the left side of the road if you're heading, away from town. There's a tree there with the disc on.
So then does that mean that the Park Service at one time went around and tagged?
I don't think it has anything to do with the park. I really don't.
So it's not the same type of tag.
I think this may have been, it's a copper disc, but it's a little different.
Okay.
It's just slightly different. You can tell it's not the same disc that was employed to mark the witness trees on the battlefield.
I wonder if
maybe Pennsylvania College did it.
Yeah. Or I wonder if maybe like the history club or whatever, a history class at the college decided to go and do that too.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But I haven't been able to find any story behind those copper discs on the trees on the campus of Gettysburg College.
Do they look as old as the ones in the park?
Well, that one along South Washington Street is a very large and prominent tree. Absolutely. That definitely would be a good candidate as a witness tree.
And at no time in history did the park or the government ever own that property out that way.
That was no.
That was always college.
That was always college.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not too far from the main college buildings at the time of the battle.
Yeah.
There were 3 at the time of the battle, so not too far from those college buildings.
You mentioned the Wheatfield and Brook Avenue. What do you got there?
There's 2 behind the monument for the 53rd Pennsylvania and 2 behind the monument of the 64th New York.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course if you go down behind the 53rd Pennsylvania, what's also behind the monument to the 53rd Pennsylvania, Witness Rock.
Oh, the Brook Rock.
The Brook Rock.
Yeah.
So you can see witness trees and witness rocks. Yeah.
Tell them about Brook Rock.
Well, Brook Rock is a very prominent rock located on the slope behind where the monument line is for Colonel John Rudder Brooks' brigade is on Brook Avenue, across from the Rose pasture. And so if you go down behind the 53rd Pennsylvania, you'll see that very prominent rock. And if you look carefully enough, you can see an X marked into the rock, supposedly where Colonel John Rudder Brooke had been wounded. Yeah.
What was he standing on it to see?
I don't think he was standing on it. He may have actually, after being wounded, had taken cover behind it as much as anything. Because as we know, after being wounded, he's going to have to be, for the better part, carried off the field of battle.
Right.
Yeah. And maybe a temporary headquarters, because that's in the center of his brigade line. So it only makes sense. And who is his old regiment? The 53rd Pennsylvania.
Yeah, right.
So that makes sense why he would be behind those boys. Yeah.
So you mentioned we're in Rose's Woods.
Yeah.
Any that we know of?
Yeah.
Deeper into the woods.
I'm pretty sure there are.
There have to be, right?
Both Peter Lucas and Gregory Gober have found some witness trees behind the Irish Brigade Memorial.
Okay.
That they say are witness trees. I don't have the photographic evidence. I'm still looking for that smoking gun to be able to find that right photograph showing them. But they say there are several witness trees. There also is one by the monument to the 57th New York, also part of Zook's brigade. So if you're coming down to Trobriand Avenue, just before you ascend Stony Hill, on the right-hand side, the very first monument on the right is the 57th New York.
Yeah.
There's a witness tree right there. And I do have a photograph for that.
Stony Hill is wooded today.
Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't then.
Oh, it was. It was
not like this.
Well, the soldiers talk about, as particularly the Union soldiers, as they're charging towards the Stony Hill to drive those South Carolinians from the Stony Hill, they talk about a strange and fearsome place to their front, a hillside studded with large trees. But they described it as an amphitheater. In other words, Mr. Rose may have very well been grazing his cattle on the hillside, so apparently a good part of the underbrush was gone, but there were large trees located there.
So like all other wooded areas, it didn't have underbrush.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I see. Okay.
And where witness trees could very possibly be. Yeah.
Okay. I always was under the impression it was sparsely treed.
The south side of Stony Hill was had less trees, but right there,
where the monuments are.
Yeah, that was, as I termed it, an amphitheater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wheatfield.
Yes.
What else in the Wheatfield?
Well, there is one. If you go to the monument of the 4th Michigan, and you make your way towards the famous stone wall, probably a little bit to what would be the north of the 17th Maine monument, there is a large witness tree embedded in the stone wall. And you can always take note of it. It has one of those large, what we call a burl on it. Where at some point the tree itself had sustained some significant damage. Who knows? Maybe an artillery shell?
It could be, yeah.
Or maybe a lightning strike, we don't know. But a tree tries to repair itself with those large burls at time. But it's quite prominent, and it's along the stone wall there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to give away all of your stories.
No, we want them to take the tour.
We want them to take the tour. And I have an idea.
Yeah.
For a tour. I'll run it by you after the show.
Sure.
So why don't we do this then, Lair? We'll take a break.
Okay.
And we'll come back with the questions, because we got some good questions from our patrons. And for those of you who are watching it live now, 717-420-1978 is the number. If you're watching this for free on YouTube, this is recorded. But if you're watching it live now as we're recording it, that's the phone number. Give us a call if you have any questions or anything like that. Comments, suggestions. If you want to sing a song, call in and do that. We'll be right back.
Yeah, right now he's into Elvis.
Yeah, if you got a good Elvis impression, I'll be quite impressed with that. if you could do that. But anyway, give us a call now if you want, and we'll be right back after these words.
You can lead a horse to Rome, but you can't make him drink it. Call in and ask a Gettysburg guide.
The Gettysburg Museum of History, located right here in the center of Gettysburg, PA. Owner and curator Eric Dorr grew up here and has spent his life collecting and preserving history through artifacts ranging from the Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg, World War II, presidential items, pop culture, and more. His museum is free and open to visitors Wednesday through Sunday, 11 to 5 p.m., where you can stop by and immerse yourself in some of the most amazing artifacts that you would never believe exist in the middle of Gettysburg. If you're a fan of Band of Brothers and Everything Easy Company, you'll love his exhibit featuring the Dick Winters collection and artifacts from D-Day. You can even own your own piece of history by buying one of the many relics they have for sale in the museum and on the website GettysburgMuseumofHistory.com. The Gettysburg Museum of History is a non-profit 501c3 organization with a foundation that allows all purchases and donations to keep the museum operating and open free of charge. They have been featured on the History Channel, the Travel Channel, the Smithsonian Channel, and the Science Channel. Now you can check them out on American Artifact, the series on the YouTube channel, The History Underground. So that's the Gettysburg Museum of History at 219 Baltimore Street or the GettysburgMuseumofHistory.com.
Hey, buddy. What's got you so down?
Hey, Court. I'm looking for a gift, but I just don't know what to get my Gettys nerd friends and family.
It sounds like we need to have a talk. Come on. You love this place, don't you?
You bet I do. It's my favorite place in the world.
Well, you see, at Addressing Gettysburg, it's our mission to keep these stories alive.
How do we do that?
I'm glad you asked, sport. You see, Gettysburg is the gateway to the most brutal and crucial time in American history, so we interview experts, and our listeners learn with us.
That sounds amazing.
It is! Mike, are you f***ing serious?
What? It's for the commercial. What benefits do patrons get?
You mean besides up to 4 premium episodes per month and Matt being the bee's knees as host? Huh. How about early access to special episodes, behind-the-scenes insights, and discounts for ticketed events?
Whoa! None of the other history channels I follow do that for their listeners.
That's because Addressing Gettysburg doesn't take its listeners for granted and really cares about us learning American history.
You know, I should gift my Gettys nerd friends and family an Addressing Gettysburg Patreon membership.
You see, the answer was right under your nose the entire time.
Make Addressing Gettysburg's Patreon a gift for the Gettys nerd in your family this holiday season. Addressing Gettysburg wants you to learn about the Civil War with us, and we need your support. We'll run this ad until it gets annoying, and then we'll run it until you become a patron at patreon.com/addressinggettysburg or by scanning the QR code on your screen. Happy holidays.
The hell are we staring at?
No idea.
Right. Now endorsed by a Pulitzer Prize winner. Do you like coffee?
I can't really drink coffee.
Why not? You don't like the taste of it?
No, caffeine.
Oh, I
Yeah,
hear you. But
doesn't.
you used to drink coffee.
I have drank coffee.
Too bad this wasn't around back in the day when you drank coffee.
Right.
Because you would have enjoyed this. This is our coffee. It's called Little Ground Top. It's roasted right here in Gettysburg at 82 Steinway Avenue, Bantam Roasters. You can go in anytime. You can get a bag whenever you want. Smell that, though, Anna. Isn't that wonderful?
It smells
It does
really
smell
good.
really nice,
Yes,
doesn't it?
It does.
You could just keep a bag of this in your living room just for the smell, right?
Yeah.
But you got to get it ground first. You know, they could do it in whole bean or ground. You can get it ground if you want it for drip coffee or a French press, whatever. It's just fantastic. You could also buy it online if you, when you get back home to Pittsburgh and you decide, oh, my friend loves coffee. Oh, I just heard about this Little Ground Top. Well, you go to addressinggettysburg.com/cafe and you can order it there and get it, and you don't ever have to set foot in Gettysburg again. Not that you wouldn't want to, because and not that we don't want you to. We love having you here, so you come back as often as you want. But yeah, Little Ground Top. So 82 Steinway Avenue, Bantam Roasters here in Gettysburg, or addressinggettysburg.com/cafe.
You're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
Hi, this is Stephen Lunsford, one of Addressing Gettysburg's patrons. It's time to ask a Gettysburg guide. But don't forget to smash that like button, share, and subscribe right now. Here's Matt.
Okay, and we're back, and we've got questions. Those questions are from our patrons over at patreon.com/addressinggettysburg. It's the only place to be, and it's the only way to fly. Harry Evans is going to start us off today. He says, what is done with known witness trees that have fallen or have to get cut down for some reason? Is there an opportunity for woodworkers to use them for wood projects?
Well, let me answer the question this way. At one time, there was a member of the National Park Service, I won't say his name, who had access to fallen witness trees, and he would gather them up and he would present them to a woodworker and had them made into frames, pencil holders, pen holders. He did the woodworker did some marvelous work with it.
Yeah.
And of course they would be labeled from what witness tree, where it was, where the tree was located. That gentleman has since retired from the National Park Service. I do not believe at this time that there is anyone actively gathering up potential or actual, documented witness trees and having them made into woodworking projects. But it did happen at one time.
I would imagine that's probably maybe not illegal, but it's not smiled upon by the Park Service.
I think that's probably the reason why it's no longer being done. The National Park Service may have frowned upon it.
Yeah.
Maybe a conflict of interest of sorts. I don't know.
Yeah, like about, 17 years ago, I knew somebody who did that, and he knew someone on the maintenance staff.
Yes. Yeah.
Who, when they would cut down a tree, be like, hey.
Right.
And one of them had bullets in it.
Yeah.
And that came down, I think, in a storm.
Right.
And so it was across the road, East Confederate Avenue, and so they had to chop that up, and they're like, "Hey, it's got bullets."
Well, I'll say this: if you venture to town and look at many of the souvenir shops, or even some of the stores that sell historic artifacts, you might be able to find some of those frames or some of the wood from those witness trees.
Nicholas Affalter says, who is ultimately responsible for recording and keeping track of all the witness trees after the battle? And what is the process now of keeping track of them and preserving them? Yeah. Also, is there a map or source available that identifies all of these trees?
Yeah. Nick, I'm going to suggest to you that there is no program by the National Park Service currently to document where these witness trees, whereby you could receive obtain a map of just where they all lie. I don't think it's actively being done at this point. Just might have to take my tour.
I think that's the only answer.
Yeah.
That's what it's sounding like to me. Len from South Bend, Indiana, he says approximately how many witness trees are still there?
Well, I will tell you that when I conduct my witness tree tour, I take you to between 25 and 30 witness trees.
Wow.
But how many are on the battlefield? Well, I mentioned those two gentlemen who are doing some very strong investigative work. And Peter Lukacs alone has come up with as many as 120 witness trees along Seminary Ridge, West Confederate Avenue. And I think he's going to expand his investigation to other parts of the battlefield. So for all we know, there could be hundreds, if I dare say.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
There's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing 30, right? And you're not even doing all of them.
Yeah, I'm not scratching the surface.
And then there's the ones that have yet to be discovered.
Right. And deep into many of the woodlots that I do not use. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Aaron Grabiak says, it is believed that any of the remaining... is it believed? Man, I am a horrible reader. Is it believed that any of the remaining trees in the famous copse are witness trees? I believe I've heard differing opinions on this. Being chestnut oaks on what is definitely rocky soil in an exposed area, I could see how they may not reach an enormous size like a larger growing witness tree or witness sycamore or something like that.
Yeah.
As Matt knows, I'm kind of obsessed with knowing what things visually looked like at the time of the battle. Me too. And the copse is no exception. As far as I can tell, they were shorter and scrubbier looking and probably not as tall as they have been in recent years, although still retaining some of that umbrella shape as is often described. So, okay, let me add to this question then. The cyclorama, painting based on photographs taken, in the 18...
That was by William Tipton before the turn of the century. He took a series of, I believe it's 8 photographs of the area. For whom? For Philip Pettit, so that he could create his masterpiece, the Cyclorama. And of course, prominently displayed in the Cyclorama today is the copse of trees, where Tipton had taken a photograph of the area of the copse of trees at the time.
But the copse of trees and the wall, the angle itself, as far as vegetation goes, don't look anything like what it looks like today.
It doesn't. In fact, the area of where the copse of trees, it would extend it all the way down to the wall. It would have been much larger in size, with a lot of scrub brush and
saplings
and things of that nature. Today, it's this very nice, neat, manicured copse of trees. It wouldn't look like that at the time of the battle.
Yeah. So does that give us then, I would imagine, because when were those photos taken? Was it 1880s?
I think it was before the turn of the century.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, Philip Pettit was going to make the famous cyclorama about 1884, so probably
so then it had to be
time frame. Yeah.
So then, I mean, that's 20-ish years.
Right, 20 years.
Right? You know, I mean, not much changes in 20 years. I mean, it is a farming community, but a lot of that land had been snatched up and preserved. So, that's probably, and I'm sure he probably asked, maybe not specifically about the copse, but of other areas, like, is this the way it looked back then?
Right.
I think we know that he didn't ask that about the Cemetery Hill because the pines are depicted there, but those were added.
Yeah, that's part of William Saunders' landscape program.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But as to answer his question about the witness trees, it's still being debated. But many people believe, including those 2 gentlemen I mentioned, that there are 2 witness trees within the fence line of the copse of trees today. One is a very prominent tree that leans to the left, one of the large branches of that tree leaning to the left. And we believe it's a witness tree because there is a support cable from that tree to the main trunk of the tree. National Park Service conducting some maintenance in order to help preserve and save these trees. And in the very center of the copse of trees, there's another large tree with a large fork that is believed to be a witness tree. So perhaps, folks, 2 witness trees in the famous copse of trees today. Yeah.
I seem to remember, I asked you this before the show, I seem to remember hearing a story, and if somebody knows definitively what I'm talking about in the comments, leave a comment and let me know. But there was an effort, I'm assuming, by the Park Service, maybe not by the Parks, maybe it was before the Park Service, the War Department or GBMA or whoever, to protect the witness trees from breaking in the wind or something like that.
Right.
And they I guess they strapped an iron bar to it, and that ended as a lightning rod, and it got hit by lightning.
Well, I will not question the actions of the National Park Service.
No.
Because they are my boss.
Might not have been the National Park Service.
Who knows who did it? We do know that over time, cables have been attached to help support the trees. Of course, cables were also attached to help ground any lightning strikes to the ground. So that has been done over the years.
This wasn't a cable, though, in this story.
It
was like a rigid iron bar, so that if if the wind blew, it wouldn't bend and snap.
Well,
that was
trees,
the story.
Trees are meant to bend in the wind. That's the beauty of them.
I know.
They bend.
But sometimes they bend too far.
Yeah, that's right.
And they snap. And this,
Right.
I guess they thought was too perfect, or not perfect, too precious to risk, and they ended up frying it.
Yeah.
That was a story I heard years ago. I don't know if it's true.
I gotta be honest with you. I haven't heard that.
You never heard that one?
No.
So I'm going to guess it probably isn't true, because you would have heard that.
You never know.
Well, I mean, if you're doing tours on witness trees, you probably would have heard it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Like, that's not something that would
escape me.
Yes. Stephen Worley says, "Are we sure that the tree at the angle isn't a witness tree?" So there's a lone tree at the angle in the wall there.
Still being debated, Steve.
Yeah. Again,
I don't have. The photographic evidence of that area is unclear. We do have photos taken of that time. Once again, William Tipton took a photograph so that Philip Petau could paint his Cyclorama painting. There is a photograph that shows perhaps at best some saplings in that very area where the angle is. But whether it's that tree that's there today, we don't have conclusive evidence.
How about, do we know, are there any witness beaver ponds on the battlefield? You don't need to answer that. Stephen also asked, there may be some questions about the Devil's Den witness tree actually being that old, and he thought, so we
addressed that, right.
Brian Durenick says, has the NPS ever completed an in-depth tree survey of the wooded portions of the park to have a comprehensive inventory of the witness trees? We said yes, right? It was.
Well, we know that they do comprehensive studies of the woodlines because they want to maintain the woodlines to their historic value, whether it's the Herbst Woods on day one, the Rosewoods on day two, but whether they actively do a comprehensive survey of possible witness trees in these woodlots today, I am not aware of it.
How about, he also wants to know of any special protective measures that are currently being taken to protect the remaining witness trees?
As I said, the Park Service has taken some measures to help support trees with cable wires, whether it's to help maintain the integrity of the tree or to prevent its destruction from a lightning strike.
Do they go and like kind of test or just observe the existing trees they know about for disease or anything like that?
Oh, that they do.
They do.
They do. In fact, of course, we have the ash borer that did terrible destruction of the trees on the battlefield. And the Park Service regularly monitors the tree lots to determine, hey, this tree is badly diseased or badly damaged and needs to be removed. And oftentimes you'll see the dreaded red circle spray painted on the tree, knowing it's probably going to be taken down at a given point.
But those are all the trees that you're talking about there, right? So within that, witness trees will fall. Not fall, but they'll fall within that category is what I mean. Yeah.
Right.
What about like Ziegler's Grove or the Bryan Farm? Do we know?
Well, we know at one point Ziegler's Grove was virtually removed after the war. Okay, there wasn't much left of Ziegler's Grove. A lot of what you see now is new growth of the trees in the area of Ziegler's Grove. So whether there are any witness trees in there, I don't think so. I'm not aware of any, but there could possibly be.
What about out on East Cavalry Field? Are you aware of any out there?
It's funny you mention that because I just spent 3 hours with Jim Hessler on East Cavalry Field just all day, good part of the day on Sunday. There are definitely candidates there. But as you know, the Rummel Farm that is prominently a fixture at East Cavalry Field, well, they were farmers. So most of the woodlines had been taken down.
Yeah.
They got productive fields, so there's not much in the way of old growth timber lines there. It's mostly new growth.
Yeah, that one area where I think it's a New Jersey and a Pennsylvania regiment. It's that when right before Custer Avenue, but it's on the right and it goes into the woods. Yeah. That wasn't woods.
No, in fact, if you go all the way in deep into there, you got the Cavalry Shaft. And then you've got the 3rd Pennsylvania miners deeper into the woodline. That woodline immediately to the front of those two miners was not there.
Not there, no.
And the woodline to the backside of those miners was set back about 100 yards. So that's all relatively new growth.
That's really thick in there, too.
It is.
It's like all cedars. And it's just like really dense.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the one brush line that exists today whereby Stuart makes his 2 large mounted saber charges. Well, you're thinking he used that brush line as cover. It's a long brush line. Wasn't there at the time. How did these brush lines and small brush lines come in place? Well, there were fence lines along there.
Yeah.
And who sits on the fence line and poops out seeds? Birds.
Birds.
Well, the next thing you know, you got little saplings going up from the seeds.
Yeah.
So where there are brush lines today, oftentimes that's where there was a fence line.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Okay, Grant O'Brien, he's got a few of them. He asks, are these trees that were witnesses to the battle native to the area?
Yes, of course. We had the chestnut, which was a very prominent tree in the Adams County area in Pennsylvania, but because of the chestnut blight towards the end of the century, it wiped out all the chestnuts, so that today the prominent tree on the battlefield here at the time of the battle was the white oak. And they live up to 250 years of age, and they can get to be quite large. Yeah.
How about one of the viewers right now, Kate, wants to know, when they used to put the copper discs on them, when they identify a new witness tree today, do they do that still?
They don't know. No. They do not do that, no.
Do you know why? Is it they don't want people to...
Well, because it's not the Park Service, first of all, who's conducting the survey and would do that. These are private individuals who are conducting these surveys to determine which are witness trees. And the Park Service does not want them placing discs on trees.
But if the park, like for example, the Devil's Den one, right? It was debated, but the park seems to believe it was a witness tree.
Yeah.
So, but they haven't put a disc on it.
No.
But
no.
So is that just something that they don't do anymore?
I guess they just. I think they might very well want to keep this under the radar.
Yeah.
So that people don't come to Gettysburg and want a piece of the witness tree.
Yeah, that's a shame too.
In a way, they're protecting the witnesses,
right?
And I understand their position.
I do too.
Yeah,
but it's also the shame of things, because the vast majority of us just would like to go and see a tree that was here during the battle.
Absolutely.
But then there are those boobs that will go and just rip a branch off or shave a whole chunk of bark off or something.
That's
right. And that ruins it for everybody.
And I can fully understand why that's their position.
Sure,
but they will not sanction a private individual going around putting their text. Absolutely not. It's got to be Park Service.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right. Grant also wants to know, of the witness trees that have been removed over the years, what would be the best to still have?
What would be the best to still have? We need to clarify.
I don't know what the hell
he's a little bit.
He's from Australia, so he doesn't.
And maybe he's thinking
what
piece of an old witness tree he would like to have, the best to have. It's your choice. Whatever's your favorite part of the battle.
Do you know of one that's gone that you wish was still there? I think that's what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah. I wish those prominent witness trees in the area of where General Reynolds was killed.
Yeah.
I wish that one on Culp's Hill, where the famous photograph was taken of Brady with his 2 assistants sitting on a rock with a prominent witness tree directly to their rear. I wish that one was still standing. It had to be taken down because it was disease-ridden. Of course, I'd love to see the God tree still in place.
Yeah.
But...
I'm glad I got to see it a few years ago when it was pointed out to me.
Yeah.
Speaking of Culp's Hill, though, I mean, and trees, that was one of the reasons why it was such a big tourist attraction after the battle, was because the trees were all pockmarked.
Yeah.
But I would imagine they didn't last very long. You know what I mean?
Well, they said a good decade after the battle, with the fighting on July 2nd and July 3rd on Culp's Hill, for the better part, Culp's Hill is becoming bare of trees.
Yeah.
They're all dying from the effects of the bullet fire and the artillery fire. Yeah.
And Grant's fourth and final question today is, what are the things that threaten the future of Gettysburg witness trees?
Well, the biggest threat, of course, is disease and insect infestation. That's the biggest threat. I mean, we have that ash borer that really decimated a large part of the trees in Adams County, including the battlefield itself. So insect infestation, disease, those are the two prominent problems.
Another Brian Jackson in the comments says, I wish they had stricter laws and penalties for those that vandalize the park. They do have pretty strict.
Well, they do. If you're caught vandalizing any tree, whether it's a witness tree or not, you're gonna receive a nice fine and maybe even a jail sentence.
You said the magic word, which is caught.
Caught, exactly.
and it's very hard.
It's very difficult
to catch people in the act of doing things because it's a big park, and there's really not enough people to protect it.
But the word is out. If you're caught vandalizing anything on the battlefield, whether it's trees or stone walls, you're going to be penalized.
It's federal.
It's a federal offense.
They don't mess around.
It's a felony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I years ago, my friend's son, who's 13, they were out in Devil's Den just kind of playing around. And the kid took a rock and just like scratched his name into a boulder on Devil's Den, and a law enforcement officer caught him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
you're defacing.
And his dad, my friend, was like, "No, throw the book at him." and so they made him do a community service cleaning in the park or whatever it was. But he never scratched into the boulders again.
Never scratched another rock. Yeah.
No. So they.
Well, of course. What's the story about people love to take rocks home?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, when I worked at the visitor center, I worked in the maintenance department at the visitor. Every couple months, we'd get a package in the mail. And what was in the package? A rock being returned. Why? Because the person who took the rock said, "We've had nothing but bad luck since taking this rock. Please put it back." Not knowing where, by God, they took the rock from.
Doesn't matter. Don't take anything from the park.
Yeah.
Whether it's a rock, don't even take a twig.
No.
You're probably okay if it's on the ground, but don't even try. Just leave it.
Don't take flowers off the battlefield. Don't take anything.
Don't, if you find a cute little bird.
National Park Service is charged with protecting the natural resources of the park, and they are very strict about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you're afraid of snakes and you see a snake, don't kill it.
Run away.
Run away or let it kill you. But do not kill the snake. Jeff Pasnick has the final round of questions here. His first one is, after a tree is identified as a witness tree, what kind of care or attention do they get to maintain them? Wondering if there is a group that cares for them to ensure they live as long as possible, maybe a witness tree protection program.
Well, that's a great idea. Witness tree protection program. Park Service needs it because, as far as I know, there is no active program that has surveyed, mapped out where these witness trees are, and to maintain them in good condition.
Yeah.
And we know this because several of the witness trees have sustained damage over the years. The gibbon tree is a perfect example, where a large part of it was sheared off in a storm a couple of years back. Probably could use some TLC, hasn't been done, and other battlefields, including the Sickles witness tree, could probably use a lot of TLC. Not that I'm aware of that there was a program to do so.
I know this is not naive, but it's very simplistic of me, and I know the reasons why they don't like they used to, but I wish they could rely on volunteers more.
Absolutely.
The Adopt a Position, I thought was a great program.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would be people who would be happy to take care of witness trees.
Well, I told you about the gentleman who I ran into at Devil's Den. He was pruning the witness tree in Devil's Den. He'd come all the way down from Michigan.
I remember this guy.
Every year to do so.
Yep.
And apparently he had the permission of the National Park Service to do it because it was quite conspicuous. A large ladder pruning the tree. So you'd love to see that type of maintenance on other witness trees on the battlefield.
Well, and I think, too, that it, especially in the last few years when they've been short of funds and staff, like this is the time to turn to the people who are very, very willing to help.
Yeah.
And, and they have the volunteer days, which are good.
Good. Yeah.
But I think the old way they did it, where they had the different programs, and to do more of that.
I think, unfortunately, the people that were there to run those programs are gone.
Yeah, they don't have those.
The position program, the maintenance personnel, and whatnot.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
All right. He also wants to know what happens to a tree when it's no longer living. Is there any attempt to study them after? So do they do any studies on
Well,
the trees?
if a tree prominently falls in a very conspicuous location across a road, on top of a monument, or across a designated walking trail, they will take the time to, of course, remove it. And by doing so, in cutting it up, if they come across any artifacts embedded within the tree, I would certainly imagine that it'll make the Park Service aware of it.
But they don't actually take like if they find a tree that's got bullets and shrapnel in it or something like that, would they maybe take that and?
I think they just might. I mean, they do have a biologist on staff at the National Park Service. I would certainly hope that would be part of her responsibilities.
But even as a historic piece, because of the bullets in it, like you take just a section of it, not the whole thing, a section of it, and put it on display.
We know by doing studies of the battlefield. Perfect example, Little Round Top. Every couple of years they have that prescribed burn there.
Yeah.
What do they do afterwards? They do a metal detecting, where they put prominent flags in the ground where they detect metal. By studying just where those flags lay, gives you an idea as just how the battle transpired for Little Round Top.
Right. They're not even digging them up.
They're not digging them up.
They're just marking them.
Yeah. And by doing so, they can determine how the battle transpired. Famous study done at Monmouth Battlefield in New Jersey.
Okay.
Where they did that very same thing. And it really transformed the study of the Battle of Monmouth.
Remember they did one at Little Bighorn.
Little Bighorn
after a wildfire.
Right.
And they're like, hey, because all the stuff started to show. It was just laying under the grass.
Yeah, here's the opportunity.
Yeah. So they did, and they marked what they found and everything, and they were able to better trace the movements of Custer's
I
men.
mean, if they're firing pieces of artillery shell in the trees on Culp's Hill, it goes to show that hillside was subjected to artillery fire during the intense infantry action.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it
gives us clues to the understanding of the battle.
I had a friend years ago whose father lives on the Baltimore Pike, and his property borders the park. And so we went metal detecting right along the fence. And found.
Oh, it's amazing what you can find. It's amazing what you can find.
But the amount of artillery shrapnel that we found was actually really surprising to me. But then I'm like, well, no, that makes sense. All the overshoots and everything like that. Yeah. A lot of drop bullets and stuff. And years later, I learned that area is where when the 12th Corps came back from the southern end, that's where some of them went to stage, or when they would, or the 6th Corps too. I'm sure, like when they were replenishing the line, going back and forth like that,
in reserve
they would go down, and because it's a lower ground and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. Along the Baltimore Pike, you have accounts at the George Spangler Farm where artillery shells fired from Seminary Ridge overshoots are almost striking the barn on the George Spangler Farm.
Yeah.
And that's across the 20-town road, between the Baltimore Pike and the 20-town road.
It's really not that far away.
No, it's not.
But I guess because of the way the roads go and we don't travel by air, it's hard to realize that, it seems further away than it is.
Absolutely.
But it's very close.
It does.
Okay, let's see what else. And then his last question is, how soon after the battle did witness trees become a thing? Is this a 20th century or 21st century thing?
We talked
about that
trees.
with Batch Elder,
right?
But it seems to be something that in recent years,
I'd say the last 15 years, it's really come into its own, into some prominence. A different way of interpreting the 1960s. We have a famous historian, Bill Frassanito. He's using these photographs to re-examine the study of this battle, and in these photographs, he's using the rocks to determine where different actions took place. Well, I think now we're beginning to realize, hey, we've got these witness trees that could also aid us, use as a tool to determine just how this battle went.
It's a pretty cool thing. What would you say, people that come on your tour, does it seem to be more men, more women, mix?
I'd say it's a good mix, but I think a lot of the women like it because, and believe me, there's plenty of women that love the tactics and strategies and movements of the troops.
Yeah.
But a lot of the women love the story of these magnificent trees.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just magnificent trees. They really are. So they love the stories and the idea of what they would have witnessed. You know, it puts them in the place at the time of the battle.
That's the beautiful thing about how your tours work is that, you know, it's like, well, who's going to take a tour of trees, right? But no, it's the story that happened around the tree. And then this is the tree that witnessed it. Like, I think that's a pretty cool way to connect people to the past.
Absolutely.
I think, like, it's like Mike said, what did he say now? I forget. But it's a tangible connection to our past.
It's that direct connect to the past.
I like that.
Yeah. And one of the things, another great quote, we need to protect the solemnity of these magnificent witness trees.
Yeah.
Just as much as we preserve the battlefield itself, well, the trees are part of the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope everyone respects these witness trees on the field of battle.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried that somebody might see the show and then go and, you know, try to take a piece of one or try to take one of those tags.
If they're going to take a piece of a witness tree, they're going to have to take a piece of me.
All right, Larry, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for having me on here. I love doing it.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Any book recommendations?
Peter Lukacs has come out with a book. It's on the witness trees on Seminary Ridge. It can be found in town. I know that the Gettysburg Heritage Center has it in stock on the shelves.
What's the name of it?
I think it's Witness Trees of Seminary Ridge, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Let's just hope he expands it to other parts of the battlefield, which I think he has plans to do.
The name is Peter Lukacs, so
Peter
if you
Lukacs.
just look up
Yeah,
Witness
and he's
Trees.
also been interviewed. So there's interviews on YouTube. So go to YouTube.
Yeah.
And join the Addressing Witness Trees Facebook group, okay?
That better not be called Addressing Witness Trees.
Yeah, no, something along that lines.
Okay, well, maybe I'll get him on this show too. That'd be cool.
I would highly
do you have a
recommend.
connection to it? Like,
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
I'll find it.
Other than the face group.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for us here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Larry. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, patrons, for your questions. Next time, call. Okay, but thank you for putting them in there anyway. And that's it. We'll talk to you all next time. Thanks for watching.
Addressing Gettysburg's Ask a Gettysburg Guide is produced by Matt Callery, Mikey B. Bariski, and Tad Skase. Hosted by Matt Callery, featuring Mikey B. and Court Nicker. Engineered by Tad Skase. Guests booked by Dave Bussiere of TR Historical. Broadcasting from and recorded at the Gettysburg Museum of History Studios. Thanks for listening.
Instead of small drink down in the pain, a reckoning on the nail, no man forget shall go to jail from Gary and glory. Instead of small drink down in the pain, the reckoning on the nail, no man forget shall go to jail from Gary and glory.
Copyright 2026, Addressing Gettysburg LLC, all rights reserved.